Hey, good afternoon. My name's Dave Parker. This is Grant McQuilkin. We've been partners for 25 years. 25 long, hard years.
Long, hard years.
We started ICCG many years ago, back in the late 90s. And we've bought and sold our own businesses through the years. I was figuring out the other day, sometime between 12 and 20 businesses we bought and sold for ourselves. And we just now are really focused on helping people buy and sell, mainly sell their businesses. And we've done this for years, but we're really focused on it here in these last few years and see ourselves doing this in this chapter of our lives together. We enjoy helping people. One of the things we want to do today is kind of pick up where we left off last time. Was you were just explaining the letter of intent, or the LOI, which I want to clarify one thing. We only sign one LOI, right? You negotiate kind of through the IOIs, or the indication of interest, and then we sign a negotiated LOI. And one of the jobs we do is we try to make sure that we're vetting that buyer to make sure that they're not a buyer that typically comes in, signs a bunch of LOIs, and has 10 of them out there, only has intentions of signing 2, or going through 2 of them to close.
And we want to make sure they can afford the purchase.
We want to make sure that they've gotten enough information where they don't expect to come back and retrade automatically what the price will be, right? So once we get that LOI, then the fun begins, right? We need to start putting together definitive documents, and there's 2 acronyms that go with that typically, either an SPA or an APA. But as that's being done, we also do this thing called due diligence. And so, Grant, explain kind of that piece of the process as we go through.
Yeah, if you remember the previous post, we talked about a SIM, or the information that the buyer needed in order to make the offer, right? But he gets time now, an exclusive period, to do what's called due diligence. And he's basically going to make sure that the information that he based his offer on is in fact correct.
Right.
So he can do the due diligence themselves. Sometimes they have in-house people that do that. They check the books. They have access to everything.
It's a deep dive.
It's a deep dive.
And it's a deep dive.
And then a lot of times they hire outside services, CPA firms or other firms that specialize in due diligence, and they perform anywhere from a Q of E, which is another acronym, a quality of earnings.
But you know what? Let's leave that till the next. Let's do that on the next one. Right?
Okay.
The Q of E, because that's something that a lot of people need to understand. And you being a CPA, I think that's worth diving into, but it just basically proves up your earnings and make sure that your books are accurate.
Yeah, and so now I know that what I made the offer on was in fact correct. It's exactly what I expected. And so now I'm going to move to the definitive legal documents that we're going to close with.
Okay, so let's say that it's going to be just a normal asset purchase. We're not going to purchase the stock of the company.
Yeah.
That's called an APA, right?
An asset purchase agreement.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, an asset purchase agreement basically has the same sections as a stock purchase agreement. The difference is you're buying the assets. And so there are representations and warranties. There's the actual financial arrangement, and then attached to the APA or even the SPA you're going to have all the other documents like the bill of sale, the promissory note, possibly non-compete employment agreement, and other types of definitive documents. That all is signed at closing, and those obviously are binding.
Right, exactly. You don't get out of those. You sold the company once you've gotten that far.
And we will. If you stay tuned to our blog, you will see we'll have another post with regards to what happens. I've just closed and sold my business. Now what?
Yeah.
So this is Grant, this is Dave, and we look forward to talking to you next time.
See you then.